Benjamin Megenberg on Facebook asked, if you were trying to introduce someone to professional wrestling, what match or segment would you recommend them to watch? And this is something we get a lot. I feel like we get the same question every 3 months or so. It seemed like this is a question that everyone asks, like on Reddit and whatnot. And it's every once in a while you get some varying answers, but mostly the same. But go ahead, Nick. What would you say here?
That's a really good question. I think I would recommend both the original NXT TakeOver and this latest one, Revolution. Specifically, Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. I think that is an absolute must-watch for anybody that wants to get into wrestling, because that is wrestling personified. For Revolution, like Zayn versus Neville is another great one. Basically, I'd introduce him to Sami Zayn because he's a great overall wrestler. On the TNA side, let's see, Rude versus Storm is a really good rivalry to sink your teeth into. That old Unbreakable match, AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels. That's also a great match. I don't know necessarily for beginners, but if you're really enthusiastic about wrestling and you're new to it and you want to get into more, that's definitely something to point people towards.
You know, for me, it's strange, Nick, because the first thing, well, all those things you mentioned were wrestling matches, and they were all good candidates. But when I sort of heard the question, you know, to introduce someone to wrestling, I suppose the one thing that I thought of was all the non-wrestling segments with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon, when he was coming down every week and doing a different thing and stunning different people. Because I remember watching that live at the time, staying up to watch it. So we're going back to sort of 97, 98 now, I guess. And I just thought that was the greatest things I'd ever seen. I struggle to think of actual standalone sort of wrestling matches. And I must have seen hundreds. I've been watching wrestling since the late 1980s, showing my age. So yeah, for me, I would say I would show them every segment with Austin and McMahon, all the non-wrestling stuff, because I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah, and that's a good point. You know, as far as showing segments versus matches, like matches, if you're not a wrestling fan, it's going to be hard to like get someone into a wrestling match, but definitely like the stories that are being told, the segments, and definitely that era is a good era to choose from.
Yeah, if we want to talk segments, just segments by themselves, Austin vs. McMahon was before my time as a wrestling fan. I got into it very late in my life. I didn't watch it as a kid growing up, but I would say definitely introduce him to both the CM Punk pipe bomb and his segment with HBK beforehand, because those are both great on the mic segments. Another one I think would be the rivalry between Punk and Mysterio. Like just the backstage segments, I went back and watched those and was just blown away. Like CM Punk singing Happy Birthday to Mysterio's daughter. That was fucking creepy and it was awesome. One that is kind of out of left field as far as WWE and TNA goes, go to YouTube and look up ROH, the debut for the Age of the Fall. That's Jimmy Jacobs, Tyler Black, Luke Harper was there when he was Brody Lee, and I can't remember the fourth guy that was there. But, it was Joey Mercury. He was the fourth guy in there. Go back and watch that. They debuted just by beating the unholy shit out of the Briscoe brothers, and they hung Jay Briscoe upside down by his foot, and Jay Briscoe was bleeding like crazy from his forehead. And Jimmy Jacobs stands under him, blood dripping down on his head, on his shoulders, and he delivers this really powerful promo. It's just a really iconic image to present. So it might be a little heavy for people that are brand new to wrestling, but right. If you want a really powerful debut to watch that.
Yeah, I might show my kids that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing you guys, and we all do this. We all tend to, go back to what we enjoyed as wrestling fans. So it's different moments. Like I'm thinking, I really enjoyed, the whole HBK versus, Bret Hart feud and their matches that they had outside of the screw job. I also like the Stone Cold. So if there's one match, Stone Cold versus Bret Hart in the I Quit match. That was by far my favorite match ever. but without context, it means nothing. You know, without thinking about what led up to that and what that meant for the industry at the time and what that did for Austin coming out of it and how that basically evolved into the Attitude Era and everything, like, that match meant nothing. Like if that's all you're pinpointing on. So for me, I'm gonna go with the experience that I'm having right now. And, Steph, my wife, she is a very, very casual wrestling fan in that she is okay with the idea that I watch wrestling and will tolerate conversations with me about it every once in a while. But for her, what got her into wrestling is Lucha Underground, because it's not your wrestling program that we're all aware of, that we've all grown up watching. It's something that's easy to get into from the non-wrestling fan people, the audience. So I would say if right now you're debating what to show your friend or your girlfriend or whatever, as far as to introduce them to wrestling and get them into wrestling and understanding wrestling and enjoying wrestling, Lucha Underground is your introduction. And then you can show them like other things that have happened and why you enjoy that. That's really the good introduction into wrestling.
Oh, one more segment is Jay Lethal versus Ric Flair. That whole promo.
Again, comedy, great. It was fantastic. I'm with you, but without context, like why is that funny?
You don't need context to see Jay Lethal and Ric Flair going absolutely nuts. Everybody on them is dying.
It was probably funnier out of context.
Yeah.
Because you'd be like, what the fuck is that old guy doing? I mean, that was, you know how much I love that segment. I mean, that's money all day long. That's money.